Hi, my wonderful students. We are now starting our introduction to proofs, which you guys are going to be like little mathematicians today because mathematicians, in order to have theorems and definitions and postulates, we have to prove them first. Okay? People wouldn't just accept things as true. You have to prove things using other definitions or postulates or theorems to show that other things in math will work out. So, in order to do proofs, we need to go over some properties and theorems that are vital for setting up a proof. Okay, which actually a lot of the properties and theorems we've already talked about, but there's some new ones that I need to introduce to you. So we're going to go over some properties of equality in a little bit, which the first four, actually five, JKLL, the first five that we're going to go over pertain to how you solve when you have an equal sign. Okay, properties of equality. We want to know, how did you move that thing to the other side of the equation? Okay, so the property of addition states that if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. So basically you use this whenever you're adding on both sides of an equation. So typically you would see it in this last example right here. So like when you have x minus 3 equals 5, the way that you get by x by itself is by moving negative 3 to the other side. How do you move a negative 3 to the other side of an equation? You would add it on both sides of the equation. So the way that you move negative 3 over, you'd add 3, which would cancel out on this side, and 5 plus 3 would give you 8. Okay, so this one is the property of addition because you had to add the 3 on both sides of the equation. And this one, I added 1 on both sides of the equation. Nifty, right? So property of subtraction pertains to when you subtract on both sides of the equation. So again, typically you would see this like in the second example, if I were solving for x. So if you're going to solve for x, that 4 is getting in the way. How do you move a positive 4 to the other side? Holy hot dog, you would subtract 4 on both sides, which 4 minus 4 cancels out and turns to 0. 2 minus 4 would give you negative 2. So you could either use it in a case like this, or if you simply are subtracting the same exact number on both sides, you are using the property of subtraction. So let's keep going. So don't overthink these. So property of multiplication is when you are multiplying on both sides of the equation. So usually this property is used when you have division that you want to move to the other side. Like this dividing by 2 thing. Okay, the way that you'd move the 2 to the other side, since it's currently dividing by 2 fractions, simply just mean that you are dividing. So this is x divided by 2. So the way that you'd move 2 to the other side is by multiplying 2 on both sides. So 2 times x, the 2's would cancel out, and then 5 times 2 is 10. Or you can simply multiply by 2 on both sides like I did right here. So, alright, and property of I cannot talk, you guys. Wow, that was embarrassing. Property of division, I promise I can say that word. Property of division is when you are dividing on both sides of an equation. So, again, typically you see this when you are moving something to the other side when you're multiplying. Like if you see here, the 3 is there's secretly a multiplication symbol right here. You can't see it, but it's there. Okay, so the way that you'd move the 3 over is by dividing both sides by 3. And the 3's would cancel, and 9 divided by 3 would give you a 3. So x would be 3. So if you divide both sides by the same number, you are using the property of division. All right, the last property of equality we are going to be using for right now is the distributive property, which states if you have a number sitting outside of a parenthesis, you multiply that number or that bad boy to both of those terms. So A times B would be AB, A times C would be AC. Or like this one, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is a positive 8. So that would be the distributive property. All right, you guys, so examples 1 through 5, we're going to be stating which property of equality we are using or what we're doing to get from the first piece to the second piece. What do you have to do on both sides of your equation to get what you are looking for? Okay, so let's get going on example 1. So example 1 states that if 2x equals 8, then x equals 4. So I need to figure out what do I need to do to both sides to go from a 2x equals 8 to an x equals 4? So let's think here. 2 is secretly multiplying to the x. How do you move something that's multiplying to the other side? Holy hot dog, you guys are correct. You would have to divide both sides by a 2, which 2 divided by 2 will cancel and turn to a 1, but 8 divided by 2 will give you 4. So this is going to be the property of division, or the division property of equality, which the shorthand is division property. So that is acceptable. Okay, now number 2, we need to figure out what we do to go from 4 times x plus 3 to 4x plus 12. So whenever you have a number sitting outside of a parenthesis, what do you have to do with this number right here, this special number, to get 4x plus 12? You would multiply it to each piece. So I do 4 times x, which is 4x, and 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, so when I'm multiplying that 4 to both numbers, that is called the, you guys are correct, like normal, the distributive property. So we had to distribute 4 to each term. All right, now this one's a little different. This one, we're not like solving an equation. We have x equals y, and then all of a sudden, 5's appear on both sides. Whoa. So what are we doing with the 5's? Okay, what is 5 doing on both sides of the equation? Is it adding to x, subtracting to x, multiplying to x, or dividing? Well, I don't see anything in between my x. So if it was addition, like here, I would see it. If it was subtraction, I would see it. Okay, if it was dividing on both sides, or if I had division, it would be clear. Like division looks like a fraction, like this. So I'm not dividing it on both sides. I'm not adding or subtracting, which means I am multiplying it on both sides. So remember, if you ever see two things side by side, there's always secretly a multiplication. So this would be the multiplication property. Nice. All right, let's keep going. So example 4, if x plus 6 equals 11, then x equals 5. So what am I doing with this positive 6 to solve for x? What do I do with 6 on both sides? Okay, so the way that you move a positive 6 to the other side is by subtracting that thing on both sides, which 6 minus 6 will cancel and turn to 0. 11 minus 6 will give me 5. So this is the subtraction property. Whoa, right? I know. Let's keep going. Okay, so lastly, I'm going from if 2x minus 4 equals 9 to then 2x equals 13. So the only things that have changed, I had a 2x minus 4, but now I only have a 2x. So something is happening with this negative 4. So how do you move a negative number to the other side of your equation? You do have to add that thing on both sides, which negative 4 plus 4 will cancel and turn to 0. 9 plus 4 will give me 13. So since we added the 4 on both sides, this would be the addition property of equality. Nice job, you guys. That was awesome.